So in a surprise twist that nobody saw coming except for everybody, XDefiant is on borrowed time as player numbers decline rapidly. Man, it is a bad time to be a Ubisoft employee, huh? In an exclusive article on Insider Gaming, according to several sources at Ubisoft San Francisco, the developers of XDefiant, have until the end of Season 3 to improve the game's bleak player numbers. The anti-Call of Duty crowd is in shambles right now. If you guys don't know, XDefiant launched back in May, and at the time, man, everybody was saying like, dude, this game is the fucking Call of Duty killer, man. They have 8 million players in the first week. I think it exceeded, what was it, like 1 or 2 million players in the first like 4 hours. They were killing it according to every metric that was being released at the time. But like at the time, I knew that it's the flash in the pan newest game out. Everybody's jumping in to check it out, but there was no staying power in that game. A lot of the comments on my video were people just saying like, hey, I like it because it's an okay game and it's not Call of Duty, which to me, like, that was the nail in the coffin. If you're playing a game and enjoying it because it's not Call of Duty, this game is chalk. From bullshit lag and desync lobbies to one of the most mediocre feeling player controllers and gun feel that I've seen in a video game in years, to the terribly dated visuals, all swirling around in a Ubisoft boiling pot of multiple franchises that people have been asking for a nice revival for years. The concept and premise for this game was fucked from day one, to the point where a rebranding wasn't enough to save it. But the execs were so thrilled during their Q1 2025 financial report. They were saying that this game was a success. But then 6 weeks from that financial report, Ubisoft HQ wants player numbers to increase by Season 3, or XDefiant risks losing its much needed post-launch support. Which to me is like the definition of irony, because that was the only thing that I gave XDefiant credit for, was their post-launch roadmap. And this is where it gets great. Internally, optimism for the game has shifted primarily due to the game's continuously declining player numbers and lack of player spending. So the people playing the games are those old Call of Duty heads that don't like the microtransactions, they don't like the player skins, they just want to play something that feels like the days of old, and they ain't paying for it. They're not spending fucking money. So Ubisoft is looking at this and going, oh shit, that anti-Call of Duty microtransaction crowd really hates spending money. According to this article, one source told Tom Henderson that the game has been struggling to obtain 20,000 concurrent players across all of its platforms. Now, let's just take that and break that down for a second. Across Xbox, PlayStation, and PC, they're not hitting 20,000 concurrent players, which for a Ubisoft, you know, I don't know if this is considered a quadruple A game. We'll call it like a double A, triple A game. That is terrible metrics, especially when the players that are there aren't spending money. Now, here's the crazy thing. As somebody who covers tactical shooters, I see the number 20,000 and go, holy shit, that's a lot of people. It really just goes to show that the tactical shooter genre is fucking dead when you compare these kind of numbers, and how 20,000 concurrent players across all platforms is considered fucked to these companies. They went from 8 million players in their first week to 20,000. And when I say 20,000, they're struggling to get it. They're scraping the bottom of that barrel. You want to talk about a fall from grace? I've never seen something go this south for a company. But what blows my fucking mind is the amount of people that I saw online in my comment sections on social media telling me why XDefiant was going to be the next best fucking thing. When it came out, guys, this is the Call of Duty alternative that we've been looking for. You old heads, stay away. Fuck you, Fry. All of this shit that I saw, and you guys aren't even fucking playing it. The declining numbers have created tension and anxiety within the team, with sources who spoke to me believing that more layoffs are only a matter of time. Earlier this month, Ubisoft cut 45 jobs at that San Francisco office and the North Carolina offices, with around 10 actively working on XDefiant, and even more at the studio losing their jobs due to Rocksmith Plus scaling down. Frustrations within the studio are aimed at the leadership, who have refused to take responsibility for the project's shortcomings, which could have been avoided with a better studio culture. And then Tom Henderson links an article that he wrote back in 2024, or March of 2024, where he reported on the studio's toxic work culture. And according to this article, despite an internal investigation back then that concluded last month, I was told the issues had been swept under the rug and that its problems were still prevalent. Basically, Ubisoft investigated themselves and they found nothing wrong. The article continues, as for XDefiant's future, leadership is betting all of their money on Season 3 to turn things around. But with Call of Duty Black Ops 6 set to release between Season 2 and Season 3, those I spoke to are feeling pessimistic about the game's future. One source even went as far to say expect more Ubisoft San Fran layoff headlines within 6 months. So the game is on borrowed time. They've lost like 99% of their player base within 2 months. They're betting all of their chips on Season 3 to bring people back, which we all know it's not going to. And we have yet another game from Ubisoft that has spent millions and millions of dollars in development to produce absolutely fucking nothing for the studio. How, after 10 years on this platform, am I still talking about Ubisoft fucking up in this capacity? How many financial failures is it going to take for this industry to get their heads out of their asses and start delivering what gamers actually want? People have been crying for a Splinter Cell game for years now. We know that there's one in development, a remake of the original. We haven't heard jack shit on that. Everything has been focused on XDefiant. This game is XDeficient of fucking players. And if Season 3 doesn't pop the way it needs to, all of these people are going to be laid off. Why? In 2024, can we not find sustainable live service titles that people actually want to play? Why in 2024 is Call of Duty the only continuously going FPS that can keep up with the content, can keep people's interest, and can keep a player base for longer than 2 months? And why does every time I make a video about one of these games, I get hit up in the masses by people saying I'm wrong and that I should stop complaining and that I'm an old head, and then 3 or 4 months later, here we are. XDefiant felt like shit from the jump. Every beta I ever played, or alpha, or whatever you want to call it, didn't do anything to improve the game. Their matchmaking and their servers are still dog water to this day, and the game was dead on fucking arrival from the moment I played it when it came out in May. And for every XDefiant dick rider, it wasn't really that hard to look at the game objectively and realize that it was built on a house of cards and it was going to come down shattering at any moment. You could feel it in the gameplay. But because of your hatred for Call of Duty, because you need something different, dude, you guys latched onto this game like fucking leeches for 2 weeks, and then you went back to playing Old Faithfuls. And that's just the God honest truth. And now we're going to have a potential situation where developers are going to be laid off because this game isn't bringing in the player numbers that it did. And all of the people that bought microtransactions in this game, in hopes that, this is going to be their game, dude. Now they're all fucked if this game shuts down or if it gets laid off or the service stops. Now I will say, from everything that I've seen from Ubisoft games in the past, they are very good at supporting games post-launch. Do I think this game is going to shut down anytime soon? No, I don't. Do I think that roadmap that I was giving them so much credit for before launch is going to change? Yeah, absolutely. If these guys are going to start getting laid off, but maybe they don't want to shut down the game just yet, they're going to adjust that roadmap where you guys were getting, 3 or 4 maps a season, all of that stuff. All of that is going to change if Season 3 doesn't come out and bring people back to the game, which again, I don't think it's going to be. I don't know what Season 3 is going to hold for XDefiant, but what I know about gamers is most of them are one and done games. They come back, check out the new update, and then they're back to Old Faithfuls, like exactly what happened when this game fucking came out. This is the reason why making multiplayer games in 2024 is one of the hardest fucking things you can do. The FPS PvP genre is so saturated, and I'm talking just across the board. You have so many different experiences that gamers are playing right now. Apex Legends, Counter-Strike, Valorant, Call of Duty. Dude, Spectre Divide comes out tomorrow. That game's going to struggle to get a player base because there's so many gamers that are spread out across all of these games that it is so tough to break into this and get a player base that can survive long term. Even if you do something completely unique and different, that's not what gamers actually want. They say they do, but then they actually fucking don't. And watching XDefiant position itself within this genre as, hey, we're going back to the days of old, including the way we look, feel, play, and also the server infrastructure, yeah, that wasn't gonna work. Let me know what you guys think down below. Leave a comment and a like on this video. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. My name is Big Fry, and I won't be seeing you in XDefiant.